Kosta Milicevic, Vrace near Shkodra, Serbia March 6, 1877, Belgrade, December 2, 1920. He studied painting at the first drawing and painting school of Kirill Kutlik in Belgrade from 1895. During his schooling, he was greatly impressed by Đorđe Krstić, with color, and Leon Cohen, with the secessionist process. He continued his studies in very difficult material conditions at the Academy in Prague, 1896, then in Vienna, 1899, in the newly opened private school of Heinrich Štreblov, and later in Munich, in the studio of Anton Ažbe, 1902. After returning to Belgrade, he obtained a diploma from the School of Arts and Crafts, 1903, where he later works as a teacher. He became a member of the Society of Serbian Artists Lada, 1910. During the First Holy War, he was a war painter at the Supreme Command of the Serbian Army in Corfu. He exhibited 38 works at the Exhibition of War Painters, 1919. Milicevic is one of the most prominent representatives of Impressionism. During his schooling, he opted for modern painting. He was a supporter of secessionism. After arriving in Belgrade, he completely abandons the academic style, brightens the palette, and reaches Impressionism through plein-air portraits and landscapes. This period is marked by the search for personal artistic expression, which he finally finds in a thick paste-like spread. This is best seen in the series of paintings created around the Savina church. Later, in the works created in Vilnius, he establishes a balance between light and color. After crossing Albania, during his stay in Corfu, his most significant works were created. Milicevic paints exclusively in natural surroundings, and his subjects are almost always portraits and landscapes. At the end of January 1916, the decimated Serbian army arrived in Corfu. It is interesting and important to note that our artists, who come with the army, including Kosta Milicevic, are not at all impressed by the sea at the first moment. On the contrary, in Corfu, he first notices what is connected to the land, and what for him represents the concept of security, what reminds him in a certain way of his abandoned homeland. He is looking for tameness, he is looking for green colors and slightly undulating hills, slightly romantic corners where the atmosphere is woven from sunlight and shady shadows. Kosta Milicevic's unit itself is located in a village set back from the coast, Podemos, the place where, according to legend, the waves threw Odysseus out. In the environment of quiet, slow village life, where the village bell overpowers the sound of the sea, the painter spent about a year, recovering, drawing and starting to paint again. Podemos on Corfu from the collection of Pavel Belyansky is probably the oldest preserved work from that period. The painter obviously stuck to familiar forms and a tightly constructed composition, so the space is, as usual, organized around architecture, and the perspective is indicated by the gradual blurring of the shapes of distant objects. The motif of the tree in the foreground is also repeated, dividing the composition according to the principle of the golden section. However, unlike the earlier paintings of Savinacaporta, the tree is there to enliven and organize the space with the arabesque of its branch trunk. Due to its rich, saturated texture, this canvas is completely in line with Milicevic's effort to emphasize the movement of colored masses, as well as to capture a certain atmosphere colored by a certain tone of personal mood. In the beginning, he was influenced by Munich painting and plein air, and he is significant for Serbian art as one of the most successful impressionists. He was a participant in the First World War and at the same time a painter for the Supreme Command. During the war in Corfu, he created his best landscapes in the spirit of Impressionism, imbued with a lyrical atmosphere. Many of his paintings were burned in the studio during the First World War. He became a member of Lada in 1912. Although he was a colorist painter, his interests also related to drawing, primarily motifs from the front, landscapes and a series of military portraits, and his drawing skills can be fully seen in, as far as is known, the only preserved caricature from the artist's oeuvre.